Hello everyone, Professor Hastings here. And I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I've learned over the past decade about empathy and leadership. And I want to start out with a quote that I heard in a really fabulous facilitation by design workshop that I took several years ago in New York City. And the facilitator of that workshop started the whole multi-day session by saying that there are no leaders, there are only acts of leadership. And I don't know where that originates, but it really, really rung true with me. So 10 years ago, I was voted into a leadership position and quickly learned that I really had no background or training in that. I was a designer, a teacher, an artist, but I really didn't have a firm grounding or foundation in leadership practices and leading people. So I started my studies and have never stopped since, because I see the role of leader in all levels of what it is that I do. So my first workshop was the Nvc Workshop that I mentioned in a previous video. And I think that that is one of the most key trainings for leadership that I have ever had. I've also studied with different leadership training organizations. I've taken workshops, attended conferences, read books. It's a deliberate practice. Continuous, deliberate practice for me. But I am keenly interested in empathy in leadership and embodied leadership. So I'm not going to go into the embodied leadership piece here. I'm just going to talk about how I see or what I've learned about empathy and leadership from my trainings. And I want to start off by the other big influence in my leadership vision, and that is Daniel Pink's book, Drive. And in that series of research that he did in that book, he came up with 3 key needs for people to thrive and flourish at their peak performance. Now, 2 of those needs are autonomy and purpose, and I'm going to come back to those. But first, I need to talk about decolonizing the language of leadership. And I've been struggling with this for some time, but particularly in the past 2 months, as I have been purposefully, deliberately studying to be an anti-racist. And I have run into this word over and over again, and I realized that I can't use it anymore. It doesn't fit with current world circumstances, and that is the word mastery. So I did some research on it, and sure enough, there is a fabulous, fabulous book about that word called Unthinking Mastery, Dehumanism and Decolonial Entanglements by Julietta Singh. So in changing my language, changing my life so that I can root out colonialism, any racist programming I have to become an anti-racist, I have been searching for a word to replace that word. And what I've come up with is virtuosity. So Daniel Pink in the book Drive uses the term mastery. I'm going to replace it here and now and in the future with the term virtuosity. So the 3 primary needs that people have in terms of high performance work, this is after their financial needs are met, right? After their financial needs are met are autonomy, purpose, and virtuosity. So with virtuosity, the definition of that term is a quality of being extremely skilled at something, or a virtuoso is a person who has special knowledge in a field, or a person who really excels or is skilled in technique and execution and all of those sorts of things. So I'm just going to talk briefly about those because I don't want this to be a really long video. I want you to be able to get some really quick nuggets that you can contemplate and see how those apply to your life and your practices. So autonomy, that ultimately means being free from micromanagement. So being free to pursue, to basically create the work that they are tasked to do. Virtuosity, of course, is pursuing the highest level of craft and excellence. And in that case, I want to support people in pursuing their virtuosity and also celebrating it when they achieve that. And then purpose is generally just, it can mean a lot of things. But for this video, we're going to say that it's impactful contribution to community and self. So purpose being an impactful contribution. It could be to the organization, it could be to their life, their community, whatever. So the three key needs that we want to meet in the people that we work with and that we share our life with are autonomy, virtuosity, and purpose. So the three feeling-based practices that have arisen for me in my life are reassurance, gratitude, and vulnerability. And with vulnerability, that is a leader who is honest, authentic, and visible. In terms of gratitude, that is demonstrations of appreciation. And I think in the day-to-day and time pressures and all of those sorts of things, that's something that slips to the side. And I have to make it an active practice that I remind myself to do. The other is reassurance, and that's a tough one. Reassurance is the action of removing someone's doubts or fears. In some cases, especially in terms of, worldwide massive job loss and layoffs and things like that, there's certain things that cannot be reassured, but there's always something. There's always some grain or nugget of reassurance that we can give those around us. And I just want to, point out that, one of the reasons that I'm making this video, that I'm sharing these practices and teachings and learnings that I've had along the way is that I need to be reminded of them. This is not something that I just get and move on. It's something that I have to refresh and remind myself about all the time. So I think that pretty much covers what I want to share with you about empathy and leadership today. And I hope to make some more videos in the future about empathy and leadership because I think it's huge. I think there's a lot there. And I hope that you've gotten a few good nuggets out of this that you can take and practice in your life. Thank you.